and gentlemen, you enter the liquid-based sound system. Please fasten your seatbelts and listen to In Full Effect.
Okay, so this was my awesome virtual reality experience, which was a total blast this morning. Okay, so what the deal was, I got up at I went to bed kind of early. I woke up at 2 a.m. and couldn't get back to sleep. I mean, I had total insomnia. So I was asking the beings to give me a virtual reality experience or out-of-body experience around 2 o'clock a.m. Well, I know I laid there till about 4, and then I finally got an experience. I was just, bam, triggered into the experience. I don't even remember falling asleep. The next thing I know, I was just, bam, in this virtual reality experience. But I did not know I was under the abduction the whole entire time until I woke back up in 3D. Lots of times I do become aware a few minutes later that I'm under the scenario, but this one I did not know. And so I think it was either Joel or Venus that gave me this experience because, well, I think it could have been Venus because Venus, and I was talking to both of them. I was talking to Venus, Joel, a few others. Venus likes to keep me in my house. And she likes to never tell me that I'm under the abduction till the end of the abduction. And, but Joel has also kept me in my house for abduction scenarios. So anyway, so what the deal is, at 2 o'clock I had insomnia, so I started talking to the beings. Then I know I laid there for at least a couple hours, but anyway, that whole time I could feel the beings like kind of jolting my brain. It's hard to explain, but that kind of, you can feel them tampering with your brain. I think they weren't in my bedroom. I mean, he was still, or she or whatever, was still at a distance. But they can still tamper with you at a distance. I pretty much know when they're right there standing, by my bed. I know that. They can still give me an experience, at a distance. But you can still feel them jarring, your brain and stuff. I still felt them kind of jarring my brain, so to speak. My ethereal brain. I know it's really weird, but kind of like my energetic brain. You can feel them tampering with it. And I felt that experience many times before, but I still had no idea I was going to get this virtual reality experience. Okay, so here is how it went down. So I don't even remember falling asleep, but I did tell them, I was like, you can always just, bam, force me to fall asleep or whatever, to give me an experience or whatever. And I was telling them, I was asking them to do that, okay? I was asking them to make me go to sleep, but I didn't necessarily know I was going to get an experience. Even though I felt them jar my brain and stuff, I mean, seems like I felt that a lot of times. Well, now I know I need to pay more attention to that. And I always knew it was like them tampering with me or them sort of, close to me or whatever, but they weren't. I mean, well, I guess, they can manifest in many different ways, so that's why sometimes you may not feel them. They still could have sort of been in my bedroom, but just barely, manifested. And that's why if they're manifested such, little like that, you can't really feel them. But you sure can feel them tampering with your brain and stuff. Lots of times I feel them at my bedside, and like Joel, he'll even just like kind of walk towards me, and I'll see this big black shadow come over me. So anyway, but I think they sort of tampered with me at a distance to give me this particular experience. He or she, or both, maybe. But anyway, this is my virtual reality experience that I got. My reptilian alien abduction in my house, virtual reality, out-of-body experience. It was really just pure virtual reality though. She used his high technology. He cloned my toad, my pet toad. There was a shape-shifting demon, and they electrified my doorknob. Okay, this was so freaking cool. So anyway, it started off with me just bam, falling asleep, but I don't remember falling asleep. Around 4 a.m. Next thing I know, I'm in this virtual reality scenario, but I didn't know I was in it. I thought I was just regular 3D reality. So I was standing up about 4 a.m. They triggered this virtual reality experience. Like I say, I really wasn't out of body. It's just that sometimes they pull me out of body and then stick me in a virtual reality scenario. But sometimes they can still just bam, it can all be virtual reality where you're not really, astrally out of body. You're still out of body, but it's just all done by, technology and shit. So anyway, I was still out of body, but it was pretty much 100% complete virtual reality experience, even though, my astral body really wasn't out of body, so to speak, because my brain was being all tampered with. They can tamper with your implant and your brain or whatever. You're still going to feel out of body because it still feels like you're in this whole virtual reality scenario, feels no different than what I am doing now. Okay, so anyway, this is how it started. 4 o'clock, I fall asleep. I don't remember falling asleep. And then boom, next thing I know, I'm standing by my bed, to the left of my bed. So I start looking at my bed. Let's see. Facing the bed, I look down and my pet toad is like sitting there, and I'm like, what the heck? How did my pet toad get out of her cage? I looked over at the cage, the 10-gallon tank, and there was a clone of Amanda. The reptilians also named Amanda, my toad. But anyway, my pet toad, there was a clone of her clung to the side of the tank. She was like trying to get in. But there was 2 of them, and I very well knew that it was a clone. I mean, it was a clone of Amanda. I mean, there was 2 of them. It wasn't a different toad. It was a clone of her. And so one of my Amandas was on the floor, sitting on the floor, and I'm thinking, how the hell did she get out of the cage? And then I look over at the tank, and there's a duplicate of her trying to cling to the side of the tank to try to get back in the tank. And the next thing I know, I look in the tank, and there's this other little tiny little toad, a little skinny toad, probably a male toad, because male toads are skinny. Or it was a mouse. I can't remember what that little creature was. But somehow I knew the alien had found it for me, had found that pet for me and put it in the tank. But to tell you the truth, I can't remember if it was like a mouse or if it was a tiny, skinny toad. I mean, it wasn't tiny, but it was just a lot slender than Amanda. And I think it was a toad. But anyway, for some dumb reason, I can't remember that part because mice had also been on my brain recently. But anyway, so this toad, this little creature was inside the tank, and with, the other Amanda was trying to cling on the outside of it, trying to crawl back in. And I was like thinking, wow, the aliens found this little creature for me already and, put it in the tank for me already and everything. And I just was kind of shocked that they found it and, teleported it or whatever to the tank. Even though I didn't know that I was under an abduction. I knew the aliens were doing this stuff. Like I knew they found that little pet for me. But for some dumb reason, I can't remember if it was like a little mouse or if it was a skinny toad. But Amanda was definitely Amanda. Okay, so 2 Amandas. Okay, so the next thing I know, for whatever reason, I start looking out my window and there's like 20 people, like young people, like 20s, 30s, early 30s, trying to climb over my fence. And it was night outside, but the whole backyard was lit up. The alien made my light a lot brighter to light up my whole backyard in this scenario. And I saw a big fat woman, at the top of the fence trying to get over. And there was like 20 other people coming to get over in my house to stay with me. And the next thing I know, I start hearing noises outside my bedroom door into the living room and the kitchen. So what I did was I turned around to put my right hand to open the doorknob. This doorknob was glass. It was oval and it was glass. Next thing I know, I kept looking down at it and it was totally electrified. I mean, all these electrical blue aqua bolts kept shooting out of it. And I just kept staring at it, and I was just like, wow. I mean, I stared at it for a long time. There's the glass glass doorknob right there, and it started, all these lightning bolts, jolts, kept coming out of it. I mean, it was totally technological, totally cool. And I just kept staring and staring and staring. Next thing I know, I tried to open the door, and then boom, it was locked. I couldn't get out of the door, and I'm like, what the hell, man? And I knew the aliens had locked it. And then I looked down and I stared a little more, and then next thing I know, they unlocked it so I could get out into the living room. And by that time, there was all these people in my living room, and I remember wanting to really get mad and cuss at them, but I didn't. I just decided to be nice and said, hey, you can stay like one night, but then you're out of here in the morning time. And I think they got that idea to put that in my scenario because my neighbor says that there had been some break-ins and stuff. Well, all of these houses have been broken into. People like to break into them when they know that they're empty, and a lot of them are rentals, and they'll stay empty for a long time when they're not rented. But I'm not scared because I'm always here. Okay, so anyway, I guess that's where they got the idea for all these people to climb over the fence and get into my damn... Well, they knew that I kind of had that on the brain, the past several days or whatever. So like I said, I don't know if it was Venus that gave me this experience or Joel. Okay, next thing I know, though, for whatever reason, okay, there was one part of the scenario where I was walking around the living room, okay, and this was before the people were in my bedroom, in the house. All these people came into my house. This other part, I was, for whatever reason, I knew I couldn't go to sleep. And this was still in a virtual reality. I knew I couldn't go to sleep, so I was walking around the living room. I can't remember where this part places in the scenario, but I was walking around the living room, and all this crap kept being out of order. Like the microwave kept being turned at the wrong angle, and I just kept walking around, like pushing it back, pushing this, back in its proper place, and blah, 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 blah. See, Venus likes to do that. She likes to screw up my house. That's why I think it was Venus that gave me this experience. I think it was Venus. And she has shown herself to me before, but I can't remember where that places exactly in the scenario, but that was one part of the scenario. And then, like I say, when I looked down at the the doorknob, that was the most coolest part of the scenario right there. There has been some more cool parts too, haven't talked about yet. But that was a cool last part of the scenario. But like I say, that other piece, I can't remember where it placed in the scenario. But anyway, so I told all those people, I was like, I wanted to be really rude, but I didn't. And I told them, okay, you could stay like one night, but then you're out of here in the morning time. So next thing I know, for whatever reason, I go back into the bedroom. I look down and I pick up a business card. It was aqua greenish. Or aqua bluish. It wasn't a white business card. It was like aqua bluish. And it said JJ Automotive. And a long time ago, I did work for JJ Janitorial Service. So it's kind of funny they put that in there. And on the back of it was like almost like my writing. I don't know if it was my writing, but it actually kind of looked like it because I have kind of sloppy writing. And it was kind of like in fragments. And it said like, love you, I like you, you're great, want you. It was just kind of fragmented, just about 7 or 8 words. Okay, so next thing I know, let's see, let me think. Okay, so next thing I know, I just kind of started staring at it. I was staring. The next thing I know, at the bottom of JJ Automotive, at the back side was the writing, like, love you, you're great. It was kind of fragmented. At the bottom of the JJ Automotive, I started staring at it, and it had this alien language symbol. And that's why I just kept staring and staring and staring, because even I knew I needed to remember it, even though, you know, I knew the aliens were giving me this experience, so to speak, but I did not know I was under the experience. You know, I knew the aliens were doing this and gave me the symbol and all that, but I didn't really know that, you know, all this time I was actually under a virtual reality experience. I thought I was just in regular 3D. Okay, so anyway, the symbol, I concentrated really, really hard because I didn't want to forget it. This alien language symbol, which I believe that's what it is, it's like two U's with that little thing coming out of it. And then, okay, so anyway, so I just kept staring at it and staring at it and staring at it because I just wanted to remember. I didn't want to forget that symbol. And it was on the bottom of this JJ Automotive business card. But like I said, a long time ago, I worked for JJ Janitorial Service. So that was kind of interesting. I think maybe they got that idea of putting that card on the carpet in my bedroom because in real life, they did actually slice off a piece of a gray. I drew a little gray alien and I put Zeta Reticuli on the bottom of it like 3 years ago, and I stuck it on my calendar in real life. And when they were in my house in real life, they sliced it off with their laser technology and placed it on the floor. And I went into the bedroom and I picked it up. Maybe that's where they got that idea. And that was in real life. Okay, well, this is real life too, but okay, so anyway, so then, okay, so I got a few minutes left. The most coolest part of this experience was by far the freaking electrified doorknob. I mean, when I looked down at that doorknob, I mean, it was just all electrified, like bolts, all these aqua blue, white electricity bolts, just pew, 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 pew. No different than freaking this, man. No different. It was doing that. Like totally technological. And it was glass. My doorknob was glass. In real life, it's not. But in the scenario, it was glass. And it wasn't completely round. It was oval. In the scenario. And it was so freaking cool. And like I say, I got this experience this morning at 4 a.m. on November 21st. And, I tell you the truth, I mean, I wasn't really expecting it. I mean, I did feel them jar my brain around and stuff, and I was telling them, just make me go to sleep if you want, you know, because I hate having insomnia like that. And lots of times I think they freaking keep me up on purpose. They keep me awake on purpose, so then when they give me the experience, I'll be in the perfect state, you know, brainwave state, so I can remember the experience. But anyway, you know, they've been slow to give me the virtual reality experiences and out-of-body experiences this year. They've been kind of slow. But they've been giving me so many lucid dreams. I just got an awesome lucid dream I haven't talked about a couple days ago. That was awesome. But I haven't talked about that one yet. Okay, so the last part of this scenario, let me make sure I didn't forget anything. Toad, shapeshifting, demon, cloned. Okay, so the last part of the scenario, I started, for whatever reason, I started glancing down at the card again. I started concentrating on it after I started staring at the alien language symbol. That's got to be a symbol, and I can look it up. I've seen some symbols on YouTube. Somebody posted a video. And because it's kind of funny, one time they put a symbol in my hand under like a lucid virtual reality type of dream. And then all of a sudden, I find a video on YouTube with that exact symbol, and that was after the fact. Okay, so anyway, so next thing I know, I keep staring at the JJ Automotive card, and this little demon, it started off shape-shifting. It started off totally malevolent, and it kept shape-shifting, just boom, 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 totally technological, boom, 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 all these faces. Very realistic faces. Like a lot of them were like very demonic and like, I don't know, goat heads, horse heads, and weird stuff like that. And they kept shape-shifting and shape-shifting all the way down to a benevolent little entity. I mean, it started off them showing me either her or him, which I believe could have been Venus that gave me this experience. Started off showing me this demonic face. And then, next thing I know, it morphed about 20, 25, 30 times. All the way from malevolent, all the way to semi-malevolent, all the way to benevolent. That's a benevolent little demon. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So that was a cool part of my experience right there too. But the coolest part was a freaking electrified freaking